back to Yirara.
He's cooking now. Well, you can't get to school, Yirara2u. 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 Go put 'em back where from you got 'em. Look out below. What a dope bad anyway. Come on, music. Pick up.
Hey guys, welcome to Yirara2u. Today we're going to be looking at punk rock music. Punk rock is a music genre that emerged in the mid-1970s. Remember from a previous episode what genre means? It means the style of music being played. Rooted in 1960s garage rock, punk bands rejected the perceived excesses of mainstream 1970s rock. When the punk movement developed from 1974 to 1976, bands such as Television, Patti Smith and the Ramones in New York City, The Clash and The Damned in London, The Runaways in Los Angeles, and The Saints in Brisbane all pioneered the genre. In 1977, punk became a major cultural phenomenon in the UK. It spawned a punk subculture expressing youthful rebellion through distinctive styles of clothing, such as leather jackets, studded or spiked wristbands, jewellery and safety pins. In 1977, the influence of the music and subculture had spread worldwide, especially in England. It took root in a wide range of local scenes that often rejected the mainstream. In the late 1970s, punk experienced a second wave as new acts that were not active during its formative years adopted the style. By the early 1980s, faster and more aggressive subgenres such as hardcore punk, e.g. Minor Threat and Bad Brains, street punk, e.g. The Exploited, and anarcho-punk, e.g. Crass, became the predominant modes of punk rock. Musicians identifying with or inspired by punk also pursued other musical directions, giving rise to spin-offs such as post-punk, Public Image Limited, Joy Division, New Wave, Devo, Talking Heads, and later indie pop, The Smiths, Belle and Sebastian, alternative rock, Nirvana, R.E.M., and noise rock, Sonic Youth, The Jesus Lizard. By the 1990s, punk re-emerged into the mainstream with the success of punk rock and pop-punk bands such as Green Day, Rancid, The Offspring and Blink-182. There are many different rhythms used in many different styles within the punk genre. Here are some examples. This is a traditional punk rhythm which can often be heard in the early punk of the 1970s. This is a faster, more aggressive rhythm often heard in 1980s and 1990s hardcore punk. This is a rhythm typically heard in the pop punk of the 1990s. Today, we are going to build a basic track using the traditional punk rhythm. The guitar and bass riffs commonly centre around 3 or 4 bar chords. A bar chord is played by using one or more fingers to press down multiple strings across a single fret of the fingerboard, like a bar pressing down the strings. The songs will generally have 2 or 3 sections, an intro followed by a verse and a chorus, which are then repeated.
Welcome back. Let's recap on the words that we have learnt this week.
Ilcha, Atum, Anurna,
So make sure and practice saying those words.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi everybody, welcome back. So, last time you saw me, I was telling you a little bit about the importance of the two different groups of shapes that we have, the 2D and the 3D shape. And I also showed you a bit of a word doodly that I made on the many important words involved in weight. Now, something else that we covered that'll be very familiar to you guys is the topic of length. Now, we talked about how we measure length in 4 main different ways. The smallest ways are ways I can represent to you here. Those ways are millimeters, which are these very, very small increments on this ruler, and the other way are centimeters, which are slightly bigger. Now, those are the 2 ways here that we can measure length. So millimeters are often used by tradespeople when they're trying to get very precise on their measurements. You might remember my husband Matthew did a bit of talking on that topic. The other way is centimeters, and that's a way a lot of us might measure things around the classroom or inside our house, or just fairly small things that aren't too large. There are 2 other ways. Now, the other way that we measure length or height is in something called meters. Now, you might be familiar with the word meters because we measure people's height, how tall they are in meters. Like I told you, I'm not sure if you can remember, I'm about 1.68 meters tall, which is fairly average. But my son, he's a lot shorter, and we measure mine, and other people's height often in meters. And the final method of measuring length is kilometers, and that is very far. So we would use that in terms of measuring the distance we've traveled on a long journey. And there's a little bit of a cheat with all these words to help us know how many of each go into the other. For example, if I'm looking at 1 centimeter and I wanted to know how many millimeters went into a centimeter, the phrase milli means 10. So now I know that there are 10 millimeters in 1 centimeter. Same way goes on the larger scale of measuring length. If I was looking at a meter and I wanted to know how many centimeters went into 1 meter, I could remember the little phrase centi, which, like you might remember Miss Sandra talking about, means 100. So 100 centimeters go into 1 meter. And finally, kilometer or kilometer refers to kilo of meters, which kilo means 1,000. So there we know that 1,000 meters go into a kilometer. We also looked at how weight is very similar. And when we're dealing with weight, we're looking at 2 measurements, grams and kilograms. And for example, if I wanted to know how many grams were in 1 kilogram, the exact same to kilometer. 1,000 grams go into a kilogram, just like 1,000 meters go into a kilometer.
Good morning. What a good night's sleep I had. Nice breakfast, and now we're getting ready, fuel up, and on the journey into Borroloola. So we're still going to use Alice Springs as our base because we want to know how far it is from where we started to where we finished. And it's called Cape Crawford, but everyone calls it Heartbreak. Now, Alice Springs to Cape Crawford, I won't even have to round up here because it's at exactly 1,100 kilometres. From door to door, 1,100 kilometres. So now we're looking at 1,100 divided by 10, Remember again, I'm doing 10 kilometres to 1 litre. So I'm going to go just 110 litres. 110 litres times my $1.50. So far, I've spent $165 on fuel. The next trip is going to be a final one from Cape Crawford all the way into Borroloola. See you in a minute.
Aha! It's time for another session of STEM. Science, technology, engineering and maths.
Important when building our billy carts is we've got to remember to think about safety. So when we're using the power tools, we've got to have our earmuffs on and our safety goggles. Got to protect our eyes. Really important that we think about safety. Today we're going to be just doing a few modifications to it, just to improve it a little bit. First modification we're going to do is we're going to put a brake on one of the back wheels here, just so if we're flying down a hill we can sort of stop nice and safely. Number two, we're going to bring these front wheels just back a little bit so that if your legs are a bit shorter you can still use this billy cart. And number three, we're going to give it a really nice deadly paint job. I'm still tossing up which colour we should use, maybe black, we'll see. Let's get going. Okay, to make attaching our brake a little bit easier, we're just going to remove our seat, like so. So, to construct our brake, we're going to need a couple of bits of timber. And remember, we're putting our brake just on the wheel here. This is going to be our brake, and basically we're going to position it here so that whoever's driving the billy cart can press it against the wheel there, and it'll obviously the friction from this bit of timber touching the wheel will slow the billy cart down. But we have to work out how to attach it here. So what we're going to do, we're going to attach a bit of timber in there, and then we can screw our brake sort of like so. Now these bits of timber are a little bit long, so we're just going to have to give them a quick trim. Okay, and the piece of timber that's going to make up our brake, we want it to be 300 millimeters long. And then we square off where we marked, and then we can cut. And with a bit of sandpaper, we just take off any of the rough edges. And then with a couple of screws, we attach the timber that our brake will be attached to the billy cart, like so. And then we pre-drill a hole in our brake, and we screw it onto the billy cart. And there's our brake. So if we want to stop, it's just a matter of pushing that forward, and the friction on the wheel will mean that we'll come to a nice, safe stop. So we're just going to move this front axle back a little bit. So it's just a matter of undoing our bolts that we have here and drilling a new hole in our centerpiece and reattaching it back a little bit, which means that we'll be able to move our front axle forward and back, depending on the size of the person driving the go-kart. So I'm just going to move the axle back 150 millimeters. Okay, so now we've moved this front axle back a little bit. Looks pretty good. And we'll just, we'll see how this rope goes. We might have to shorten it a little bit. We'll see how we go. Alright, there we go. Look at it now. Ready to go racing. Let's go and give it a try.
Hello everyone, how are you going? I'm going to talk to you about noughts and crosses. That's a game played in ancient Egypt and Rome over 3,300 years ago. Now in my olden days, we used to play it too, and it's great because all you need is a piece of paper and some pencils. So I'll show you how to start it off. Let's go. First, you need 2 lines down this way and 2 lines this way. Then you have to choose between a nought or a cross. So it's 2 players, but I'm going to play both players. So one person has a go, then the other person has a go. And the next player might go here. Now what you've got to do is stop them from getting 3 in a row. So the next person must go here. Now the nought person, he has to stop this one, so he will go here. Hey Mickey J, it was good to catch up. Now we've got all that out of the way and it's not time to go to class yet. Do you want to have a game of noughts and crosses?
You're on.
Okay, let's go. Here's a pen.
Thank you.
All right, I'll start it up. Put the lines in. All right, you go first. So you're going to be crosses. I'm going to go here with a nought.
All right.
Oh, deadly. I've got to stop you from doing that.
Well, I've got to stop you right there.
Okay. All right, I'm going to try this one.
I've got to stop you again right there.
Oh, and me, I'm stopping you.
Oh, right, okay. Looks like nobody's going to win.
Okay, no one won. So everybody, I'm doing this puzzle which is on your worksheet for week 10. It's a lot like noughts and crosses, and you've got to stop having 3 in a row. So it's a procedure. So your first step is to identify where there's 2 in a row. So that's 2 crosses here. So we're going to stop that with a circle. Here's 2 circles. Stop that.
And the procedure, the second thing you do is here you'll notice we've all got crosses in a row, so you're going to have to put a circle in there. What about here? That's okay. And here?
3 zeros, we need 3 crosses, and the puzzle's done. Okay everyone, so I've explained the first part of the worksheet for week 10. The second part's a close exercise, which means you need to take the words that are provided and put them into the paragraph. So next, I want to thank you, your families, the community, and everybody for helping you do Yirara2u. And I'm going to sign off now because I won't be on the TV anymore. I'm going back to the classroom at Yirara. So if you come back, I'll see you here. And bye to Elsa and Olaf and everybody. Okay, thanks for working so hard. Bye now.
What's up, Yirara fam? Welcome back to another exciting episode of Yirara2u. I'm Miss Tina, and for today's art lesson, we're going to be needing some paint. Oh, there you go. So we're going to need some paint, and we're also going to be needing some, get in there, and also some cotton buds. So let's get find Miss Priscilla and let's get drawing. Bye now.
Okay, welcome to today's art lesson. Today we're going to be doing a landscape painting, and it's going to be in the same kind of style as the last painting that I did, so it's very expressionist. So expressionism is using colour to create a feeling or an emotion rather than painting things exactly as we see them. And this one's going to be a little bit more abstract. So it's not going to look realistic, and I'm going to be using something that you might have at home, these little cotton tips to make marks rather than using the paintbrush itself. So the first thing that I'm doing here is I'm just doing my background colour. So I'm doing a blue sky, but I'm kind of fading it out as it moves down to the horizon. So I'm blending a little bit of white in with my blue. And like I said, it's not meant to be a realistic painting, so that's why I've chosen to do a pink kind of purple colour. And then once I finish that, okay, so now I've let it dry, I'm going to start to do my tree. So I've got a whole bunch of cotton tips and I'm just dabbing on some colour, some darker colour, and I mixed a bit of white in with it to get a pink. And these marks that I'm making with my cotton tips create that nice picture of a tree. And I'm adding some highlights with white. Now I'm painting in the tree trunk and some branches. Some grass. And then the final touches, I'm going to paint a little lake with some swans. So what I really want you to get out of this is how you can use different objects to create different marks and different textures to look, in this case, like a tree. Have a go.
So obviously a super positive way to start the day. The fellas get out there, they get the endorphins firing. They're running around, they're getting a sweat on. There's teamwork, there's camaraderie. The boarding crew are in around it, the Clontarf crew are in around it. It's just that really super positive way to start the day.
Good morning, everybody.
What's up, Dave? Good morning all. We've got JJ changing for our Friday morning training session. It's 8 degrees outside at the moment, so not too cold compared to 2 days ago. It was about, I think it was about 0. Quite cold. Just having some warm-ups before we start our session. It's a knockout. Knockout. That's what they're calling it. A knockout game.
just that really super positive way to start the day, which hopefully transfers into block 1, into block 2, into recess, and on it goes through the day. Everybody loves a Friday anyway, so we get the teachers down here for a Friday morning breakfast, and we're really glad because we want to share this space and we want teachers to know that we can't do this job without them, and they're always 100% welcome down in the Clontarf room. It's a great place to get to know the fellas on a different level than you can in the classroom.
Keep your own hands there, don't blame me.
Started with 11, and then Bomber got out of Jesse, Dale, and Jordan. The Rankin and Miller brothers were a bit hard to get going.
Dale Baker hates the camera, doesn't he?
Not always. Not always.
Never. Alright, let's get this stuff into the big sub.
There's Omar, Dan Toner, Bomber, and Jesse Butler. He's just like a chef. I think he should do this all the time. Peter's first, Jordan's behind. Bacon and scrambled egg wrap with an orange juice. Looks alright. Peter's first, Jordan's behind. Bacon and scrambled egg wrap with an orange juice. Looks alright.
So we're looking forward to seeing you back in term 3 for more morning trainings like the other 120 odd Clontarf academies around Australia. We want to seize the day, we want to own the day, and if you win the morning you win the day. That's what they reckon. So can't wait for term 3, fellas. It's going to be awesome to have you all back. Bring your alarm clocks because you know it's an early start, and here's to term 3. See you soon, lads. Ciao.
Good morning.
Welcome back to Yirara.